So there's a phenomenon happening with veteran church musicians where they're being completely phased out. And it's happening very quietly and very systematically, and of course, with the Bible verse attached to it. So let me tell you how and why that happens. In my 30 plus years of being a church musician, I've seen this very thing happen to mentors. I've seen it happen to friends, and I see it being set up right now in churches across the country. So I'm going to walk you through three different tactics that these churches use to phase out veteran musicians, why they work, and what to do if it's happening to you. Now, let me just say off top, this isn't about younger musicians and about blaming them. It's not really their fault. They're part of this whole game that's happening with this too. The fault and the villain in this scenario is really just the church system in general. And you may be watching or listening and thinking, yeah, this very thing happened to me or it happened to someone I know, but I've not been able to name it or put my finger on why it is. By the end of this video, you will have the exact language to see exactly what it is. So the first tactic they use to phase out veteran church musicians is what I call the fresh vision setup. So tell me if you've heard this before. They usually say stuff like, we're just trying to move in a different direction, or we're trying to freshen things up a bit, or we're trying to go for a different demographic, meaning for them a younger demographic. And I can tell you the translation of what that really means is that this church is trying to go for a younger audience, just like a lot of these churches are nowadays. They want the younger audience in there, and you no longer fit that sort of younger audience that they're trying to go for. They want to go live and they want to freshen things up and they want to do all of this. And yet your experience, your knowledge as a veteran church musician and all of this that you can bring to the table just doesn't fit that for them anymore. And it also usually means that they found someone that they can pay less money to. So they're cheaper. The younger musician who's just coming up, they don't have to pay them that much. You see how that's working? But here's the kicker about this whole thing. Churches never get a quote unquote fresh vision when it comes to the pastor's salary. They never decide that God is moving us in a new direction when it comes to the building's mortgage. The fresh vision thing only ever seems to come down to the very person or the very people in the positions that they see are easily replaceable, usually the musicians. I mean, just imagine someone like, say, an accountant getting a call from their biggest client and that client telling them something like, hey, we feel like God is moving us to a fresher voice in accounting. Like, we would completely just laugh that situation away. But somehow when it's said to musicians, when that very thing is directed at church musicians, we're just supposed to nod and say amen about it. And the saddest part about this one is that a lot of these pastors actually believe this. They've seen it modeled and they've seen this behavior from different churches which they're trying to copy. So they don't see it as manipulation. They see it as some sort of discernment. And that doesn't make this whole thing less harmful. But that's why it's really a system problem and not really an individual villain problem. Now, the second tactic that they use is what I call the quiet phase out. And this is where they really just try to push you out without firing you directly. So tell me if you've experienced this or seen this one happen. So what they'll do is they'll start saying stuff like, hey, we want to start rotating musicians a bit. And we want to give some younger musicians some opportunity. So maybe this is a season, that church language. This is a season that you can kind of sit back a little bit and, take a back seat. And then what happens is like this death by a thousand cuts thing. So you used to play for 4 Sundays out of the month. Now it's 3. Then it goes down to 2. And then it's down to 1. Then all of a sudden they say, we'll call you when we need you. But that call, of course, never comes. And it's crazy because no corporate place, no school or anything like that anybody would work at would handle a separation that way. It would be a lawsuit waiting to happen. But churches operate in this space where there's no HR department, there's no exit interview, and there's no documentation. So they can phase you out over a 12-month period with that kind of stuff and call it a natural transition. Imagine if a hospital started giving their head veteran cardiac surgeon less surgeries per month. So it goes down from 15 to 10 to 5 or whatever. They never give him a reason why. They never have a conversation with him. They just quietly move him off the schedule. We would call that wrongful termination. But in church, we call it rotating musicians. And to be fair about it, sometimes these rotations are genuinely about giving opportunities to younger musicians or just other musicians, period. But the telltale sign of it is whether or not that conversation happens with you openly or not. If you're being told these things and you're being rotated out and nobody's having a conversation with you about it, that's not giving someone an opportunity. That's avoidance. And here's the part that nobody talks about and nobody's going to tell you. This whole rotating musicians and trying to phase you out and giving you less Sundays and all of that is really to make you quit so they don't have to fire you. Now, this third tactic is a really, really tricky one. So make sure you hear me on this. It's what I call the loyalty tax. And what they do here is they use the fact that you've been there so long, they use that against you. And again, this is tricky because how they set this up is they use language like, hey, we're pretty tight this year, right? And you've been here long enough to know how this works. And we need you to be an example for younger players and younger musicians because they're looking up to you as an example. And this is crazy because they're using your loyalty against you. So the longer you've been there, the more they expect you to accept cuts, to accept reduced pay and compensation, and be the quote unquote bigger person that has to be the example for younger musicians and all of that. And it's funny because in every other field, your longevity, the longer you've been somewhere, the more your value goes up. So a 20-year teacher makes more than a first or second or third year teacher. A veteran nurse that's been in the medical field for many years out-earns a person who just graduated college and trying to get into the medical industry. But somehow when it comes to church musicians, the fact that you've been on the job for 20 years means you should accept less and not ask for more. Let me say that again so you really get it. Your years of faithfulness and loyalty to this church is being used against you as a guilt mechanism for you to accept lower pay. Imagine a big law firm telling one of their senior partners, hey, you've been here for 20, 25 years now, so surely you understand that we need to pay you less money so we can make room for some of the new junior college graduate associates that are coming in. That partner would leave out of there before lunch. But here's the thing. Loyalty and faithfulness and all of that can be a beautiful thing when it's mutual. So the problem isn't that you stayed. The problem is that the loyalty and faithfulness is a one-way street in most of these churches. So let's talk about some solutions to these problems if you should happen to deal with this or if you're dealing with it now. And one thing is you got to name this problem out loud and on record. Here's what I mean. The next time you hear this language of fresh vision and new direction and all of that, I want you to ask the question directly. I want you to say to them very respectfully, I want to make sure I understand what's going on here. Is this about a budget decision? Is it a creative direction? Or does it have anything to do with my performance? And I would appreciate clarity on which one it is. This pulls this whole conversation out of this whole spiritual, vague language thing that they use and puts it in concrete terms. And most preachers and leaders and such are not ready to deal with this question directly. So their discomfort about that question tells you everything you need to know. And if they can't or won't answer that question clearly, you have your answer. That's not a fresh vision thing. It's a quiet phase out. And you get to decide whether or not you wait around for it. And another solution is something that I talk about all the time. You need to document your value before they decide what your value is for you. So what that looks like is you take some time this week to sit down and write just a one-page letter or document that talks about everything that you bring to the table for this church and what your value is. So your years of experience and your years of training, your relationships that you have with the church members and the deacons or whomever, your mentorship of younger musicians if you've done that, your dedication to being there for weddings and funerals, and just sort of the institutional memory of what that church is and how you have been a part of what that church has become. And you can bring this to your next conversation with the pastor or with the leadership of whomever. And you can simply say, I've just been taking some time to think about what my role here is at the church and what I bring to the table. And I want to make sure that we're on the same page about what I'm contributing and what it would cost to replace what it is I'm contributing. And see, this makes your value more concrete and it makes it more visible. Because what happens is a lot of these phase outs like this happen because a lot of these churches and leaders think you're easily replaceable. And a written record or a spoken record of this forces them to see what they would actually be losing. And if they look at that list and still want to replace you with someone cheaper, now you know exactly what you're worth somewhere else. So take that list that you have to the next church that's going to treat you fairly and pay you your worth. That one-page document that you have doesn't all of a sudden lose value because one church decides they don't want to value it. And another solution to all of this is the most important by far. And what you have to do here is you start this conversation yourself before they bring it up. So what you want to do is before they bring up this loyalty tax, fresh vision conversation, you open up that conversation yourself on your own terms. So here's how this works. In your next meeting with the leadership or the pastor or whomever, I want you to use this exact language or something very close to it. I want you to say, so I've been here for X number of years, 10, 15 years, however long it's been, and I'm truly grateful for that. But now I'm really concerned and wondering about what the next phase looks like. I want to make sure I'm growing creatively and financially, not just surviving here. And why this works so beautifully is because you actually take back the frame of all of this. See, they were going to use your loyalty as a weapon against you, but instead you took that loyalty, your loyalty, and you used it as leverage. And if that conversation goes badly, or they start to get defensive or start using this ministry guilt language against you, you have your answer. But now you have that answer on your timeline and not theirs. And that's well worth more than waiting a year or two to simply be replaced. And if you're a younger musician hearing this, please understand the church that's allowing you to replace the veteran church musician for half the rate is showing you exactly what they're going to do to you in a few years. So you're not winning, you're just next. So here's the question I want us all to sit with. Are you a veteran church musician or are you just a long-term volunteer who happened to get paid? Because the church is making that decision for you right now. And either you can let them or you can decide it for yourself. I believe in you and I believe in what you've built. And I believe your many years of showing up and being dedicated and loyal and faithful means something more than being replaced by someone who can't even read a chart yet. I'll see you in the next video.